Hey y'all, welcome back to my garden. Well, technically, we're not in the garden, we're just doing some garden chores. So, and I guess they're not necessarily garden chores, but starting plants. Basically, what's happening here is I am up potting some tomato seedlings that I started on the advice of the big city gardener who mentioned starting tomatoes early in zone 9. I don't normally start my tomatoes early and I don't start them indoors. Most of the time I plant them directly out. Last year I did start some indoors and they did pretty well, but I don't love starting things indoors. He made mention of it, and since I was starting some onions inside anyway, I decided that I was going to go ahead and do the tomatoes as well. So basically, um, I am taking these tomatoes and I'm going to up pot them into these little 4-inch pots. And these are pots that I saved from when I would buy things on a whim at the garden center. I don't typically do that, but sometimes I'll see a variety of a pepper or something that I really think I like or I want to try, and I'll just go ahead and pick it up over there. So anyway, if I didn't already have these nursery pots, I definitely wouldn't buy any plastic pots. I would just use like these sort of biodegradable pots. I buy these every now and then at the end of the season, usually because they go on sale, steep discounts at all the big box stores and even places like Target. But I buy that. I would buy that if anything. So, because I'm all about sustainability and reusing things, whether it's in the home, in the garden, wherever we are. The point is not to just buy up a whole heap of plastic or buy up a whole heap of things at all. So, that's all I'm doing here, and then I will show you my little setup in the garage. I usually do, I don't usually start my seeds, but when I do, I was doing them in my office to begin with because that is the sunniest room in the house. But then it just started to take over my office, so I did a little setup in the garage with the grow light and a fluorescent light. So I'll show you that in just a sec. These are really dry, which is not a good thing, but I think I'm going to plop. These are San Marzanos. I have 4 different varieties of tomatoes that I'm growing. So I'm going to plop like 2 in each one of these little pots. Let's see, so you can see this. I'm going to plop in 2, and I'm going to bury them deep. You've seen this before, so I don't need to repeat that. Bury them in as deep as possible. Here's the thing. When I start my seeds, I don't really, you don't put anything in the growing medium, right? So it's like a really light seed starting mix. No fertilizers, no anything. But now that I'm up potting them, I am using a standard potting mix and I'm adding in some quote unquote fertilizer. I would say organic fertilizer because this is worm poop. I'm using bone meal and I'm using blood meal. I've done a video about this before. I never really understood why my grandmother used these things back in the day, but now I get it because they're all natural, right? And they provide all the fertilization that you would normally get from, say, the Blue brand or the big box brands in terms of NPK ratios and all of that. So this is how far, let me pull this out and show you. This is my tomato, the full tomato plant. So the original soil line was here, you see that? But I'm burying it almost up to the first set of leaves, okay? That's how deep they're gonna go. And like I said, I'm gonna do 2 per pot. Quick tip, if you do buy your starts at a garden center, don't just bring them home and plop the whole start into the ground. Check it to make sure that there's not more plants. A lot of times the garden centers will do this exact same thing. There will be 2, 3, sometimes even 4 actual plants in one pot. That way you get more plants, more bang for your buck, and grow more food, of course. So that's that, and I'm just gonna water everything in, and I'll be done. The big thing that I just wanted to share was that, when you start the seeds, you don't necessarily need any food in the soil, in the medium, the growing medium. But by the time you up pot them, they're gonna need a little bit of help to stay nice and healthy. And I have these undergrow lights in my garage, along with some onions, and they are all doing really well. When you're up potting like this, people do things in different ways. I am a lazy gardener, so I just do whatever feels good in that moment. You saw me fill these, like put these in and then backfill with the soil. There's another way to do it, which sometimes is really easier, especially with tomato plants that you're going to bury down deep like that. So again, here's my original soil level. I'm going to bury it up to here. I can either use like a tool like this or a pencil. Like sometimes I don't like touching dirt, and I'll do that, or just use my finger if I'm okay with it. This time I am. It's fine. It's not wet. And then just plop it down in the hole. That works really well for these baby seedlings too, because you don't have a lot of roots, and it's just pretty much just a straight line down into the soil. So just a couple of different ways. There's no science to this. It's just try not to disturb the roots too much. And for tomatoes, plant them deep so that they can grow more roots along the stem. That's it. By calling himself the true vine, Jesus is saying that fruitfulness comes through him alone, not through systems, strategies, or even religious activity. When we live in a close relationship with Jesus, we gain access to the true vine that produces what we can never produce on our own. You see, his presence becomes our strength when we're weak, our clarity when we're confused, and our stability. All right, so here we are in the garage, and here is my setup. That is an actual true grow light right there. Here's more tomatoes, and those are what? Cosmos back there that I started, because flowers are important too in the garden. And then here's all of my onions. This is just one big greenhouse tray of onions. This is a Scotch bonnet pepper, and up there on top of the fridge are all of my hot peppers. And why are those on top of the fridge? Because they need warmth right now, not necessarily light. They need warmth in order to germinate. So most of these items are going to stay in here. Like the onions still need to come up. They're not all up. But everything else, like these tomatoes, the ones that have their true leaves, and these ones here that you just saw me pot up, those are going to go into my office because they don't need the grow light as much. And like I said, it's very sunny in my office. Oh, I'm sorry, that's calendula right there. They don't need the grow lights as much. They can deal with just the sunlight once they have their first set of true leaves. So like on here, you can see this one has its first set of true leaves, but like these babies don't. They still just have the cotyledons, these leaves right here. The first leaves that come out are not true leaves. I bought this grow light a couple of years ago on Amazon, and it has a stand, but right now I have it kind of rigged up next to the cabinet, and I raise it and lower it using like this little lever. And these are shower curtain rings that I was going to get rid of. I was going to recycle them, but then I realized I could use them for this purpose, to raise this up and down as I need it to be. So that's, again, repurposing. And then this other light is really, it used to be in my kitchen under the cabinet. That's really all it is an under cabinet light. And I decided to pop it here to use for this purpose. Originally, it was to use, this is where I do projects. Let me back up and show you. This is where I do like any like DIY projects. But then I thought, hey, this is the perfect spot, especially since I'm not working on anything right now, to put my little seedlings if they will fit. And you can see like this is as far as it can go. This is as much as I can do. So that setup may change at some point, but it's working out really, really well right now. And I absolutely love the fact that I didn't have to buy anything new. I was able to reuse what I had. I was able to use the space that I have. And like I said, right now, they're going to go, it's going to be like a cycle. So they'll come from in here go into my office and spend some weeks, maybe some of them might be like a month or two in there before they'll go back outside. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Just starting seeds indoors. I've done videos about that before, so like if you've been around for a while, you know that this is not necessarily a great process for me, but I'm trying to do better and I'm trying to practice because I want more food. So anyway, I hope you got something really good out of this video. Drop me a comment if you did and let me know what did you get out of this, and what can you take into your own garden or into your own home that could possibly be helpful in your gardening process or to your pocketbook. Till next time, you guys, thank you again for tuning in. Bye.